For more than a year, Min Hee-jin has stayed largely out of sight. After winning the initial injunction battle in 2024, she carried herself with confidence at the second press conference, even suggesting reconciliation with HYBE. But the divide only deepened since then. By late 2024, she was pushed out entirely, and she herself exited, as she claimed, and HYBE refused NewJeans' request to restore her as ADOR's leader. Now, today, ADOR sits firmly under HYBE's control, while Min Hee-jin is left fighting in court to challenge the shareholder contract. Now, on September 11th, the Seoul-centric district court will hold the fourth hearing in the shareholder contract confirmation lawsuit between HYBE and Min Hee-jin. Both sides are preparing high-profile witnesses. HYBE will bring its chief financial officer, Kyung-joon, while Min Hee-jin's lawyers at Sejong, in a bold move, have asked that Min Hee-jin herself, be questioned directly, meaning her words could become evidence in the trial. So in this video, we're going to talk about this. Now, how do I know that these guys are preparing these high-profile witnesses? Well, it is available on the court websites. So if you type in the case number, then you can look at all the information and the current process going on. And how do I know the case number? Interestingly, it was Min Hee-jin herself and her lawyers who have revealed the case number to everyone as part of their media play. Now, why would Min Hee-jin's lawyers take the risk of having her present herself in court? So usually, parties in civil lawsuits remain silent. Lawyers usually do the talking, while third-party witnesses provide evidence. But those who are directly involved, the actual parties, do not really do the talking. But by requesting Min Hee-jin's testimony, Sejong is signaling that the risk of silence outweigh the risk of speaking. If you think about it, HYBE has already succeeded in getting her Kakao Talk messages omitted in earlier proceedings, despite her objections. Those, Kakao Talk messages discussing potential investors, Kakao executives, and even, cryptic references to feeding ritual rice cakes. Like all those weird messages, scary messages, are likely to resurface during this legal battle. If Min Hee-jin remains silent, then HYBE's interpretation of those messages could stand uncontested. Now, if she speaks, she at least has a chance to frame them on her own terms. So it is a calculated gamble on their part. The courtroom could see her, rebut HYBE's narrative, or it could see her, cross-examined into contradictions. But for Sejong law firms, the alternative, which is allowing HYBE's arguments to dominate without challenge, that could appear even more dangerous. So I guess that is why they requested her attendance in the upcoming hearing. Now, how about HYBE? Across the courtroom will stand one of HYBE's most powerful executives, that is, Chief Financial Officer, CFO Kyung-joon. And he's not only the company's top finance officer, he's also HYBE's financial control tower, as suggested by this particular article by The Bell. So, he currently serves as a board of director or auditor at 10 HYBE affiliates, more than any other executive. And that includes, in Korea, Source Music, Supertone, Weverse Company, and even ADOR itself, where he held a board seat. And abroad, he sits on the boards of HYBE Japan, YX Labels, HYBE Latin America, and HYBE America, while also serving in oversight roles in HYBE Universal, which is a joint venture with Universal Music Group, and a joint company in China. So such roles give him more than symbolic influence. He actively participates in board-level decisions and supervises financial flows and enforces governance across HYBE's riskiest and most strategically vital units. And there are also ventures, unprofitable ventures like Weverse and Supertone, and also globally ambitious labels like ADOR and Source Music. Across these labels, he is tasked with stabilizing the entire ecosystem. And this means that Lee Kyung-joon is uniquely positioned to testify not just about HYBE's financial health, but also about ADOR's internal governance during Min Hee-jin's leadership. So that will be quite interesting. Now, this won't be the first time that Lee Kyung-joon, CFO, will stand as a witness in court, because in early 2024, Mr. Lee testified in the trial over Kakao's alleged stock manipulation during the SM Entertainment takeover fight. For those of you who are not familiar, HYBE had launched a tender offer to buy SM shares at 120,000 Korean won each, well above the then market price of around 90,000. But within days, SM stock surged above that level, peaking at around 130,000 and closing at 127,600 on the final effective day. And as a result, HYBE's bid collapsed. And CFO Lee Kyung-joon told prosecutors that he believed Kakao-linked bulk buying was responsible for that result. He even filed a complaint with regulators, arguing that HYBE's aim wasn't speculation but long-term synergy, and that is combining SM Entertainment's intellectual property with HYBE's global network to raise SM's profits from 200 billion Korean won to nearly 300 Korean billion won within 5 years. He said, on February 28th, SM's share price rose above 120,000. I had a strong suspicion why. Looking at the stock trend, prices surged significantly on February 16th, then briefly stabilized. That led me to believe bulk buying was taking place on that day. Without that buying, our tender would likely have succeeded. If that was intentional, it had to be stopped. So I filed a complaint with the financial authorities. That's what he said in court. Now, when prosecutors asked about HYBE's losses from being denied the acquisition opportunity, CFO Lee responded, "We weren't trying to acquire SM for short-term capital gains. The goal was to combine SM's intellectual property with HYBE's global network to elevate Kpop into a truly global music industry and capture the synergy. We had developed a plan to boost SM's operating profit from about 200 billion Korean won to nearly 300 billion won within 3 to 5 years. Losing the chance to acquire management control was deeply regrettable inside the company." When Kakao's defense lawyers suggested HYBE had joined the dispute by siding with Lee Soo-man, the founder of SM, CFO Lee pushed back by saying, "We weren't participating in a management dispute. We were seeking to acquire management control of SM. Kakao, by contrast, had no intent to acquire control, which is why they escalated the conflict." And he also said, "We didn't join forces with Lee Soo-man. Our position was that we would purchase his shares to acquire SM. HYBE openly declared its intent to take control, but on the other side, no entity ever formally stated they were seeking control." Now, prosecutors recently asked for a 15-year prison sentence for Kakao founder Kim Bum-soo over charges of stock manipulation, inflating SM share price to block HYBE's takeover. On a separate matter, they have also asked the court for a 10-year prison sentence and 1.25 billion Korean won fine for Kim Sung-soo, the former CEO of Kakao Entertainment, over the Param Pictures acquisition scandal. If you are interested in this, I have made a video about it on my other channel, Classic Korea. So go check it out. And interestingly, Kim Sung-soo is the same name that appears in Min Hee-jin's KakaoTalk messages, where she spoke of using Kakao money, supporting Pana, which is the label for 250, who has produced many of NewJeans songs, and pressuring Bang Xiao through media play. So that's pretty interesting there. Now, why does CFO Lee Kyung-joon's testimony might matter? Because his role in Min Hee-jin's case could be pivotal. As HYBE CFO and a registered director at ADOR, he has direct knowledge of both HYBE's group-wide financial strategy and ADOR's own governance under Min Hee-jin. And he can potentially portray Min Hee-jin's actions not as isolated disputes, but as disruptions to the integrated system that HYBE has worked to enforce since its IPO. And his testimony can potentially tie her investor outreach to third parties and framing Min Hee-jin as aligning with the very forces that undermined HYBE. Okay? And the timing adds to the drama. On the same day as Min Hee-jin's trial, another courtroom will hold the second mediation session for the NewJeans case. And higher courts have already signaled where responsibility lies, because in its ruling, the appeals court ruled bluntly that while Min Hee-jin was removed as ADOR's director, it was because she herself undermined the shareholder agreement and sought to take sole control. To put simply, she brought this on herself. Now, for Min Hee-jin, Sejong Law Firm's request to have her testify is not a surrender, but rather a deliberate choice, it seems. Because by speaking, she may regain some control over the narrative. And by staying silent, she risks leaving HYBE's story unchallenged. And the courtroom will pit her words against those of HYBE's most powerful financial strategist, that is CFO Lee. And this one is not about reconciliation, if you think about it. HYBE made its position clear when it refused NewJeans' plea to reinstate Min Hee-jin as CEO of ADOR. So what happens on September 11th could define not just Min Hee-jin's personal legacy, but also NewJeans' relationship to ADOR and HYBE's future in terms of moving the case forward with the direction of ADOR. And I don't know, perhaps this could be decisive in terms of the legal battles between Min Hee-jin side and HYBE side that have been going on for the past several years. Okay, so what do you think? Do you think Min Hee-jin's decision to speak in court is a sign of confidence or like a last resort gamble? And with both Min Hee-jin and NewJeans standing trial on the same day, is this a turning point that will finally settle the conflict, or just another escalation in a battle that continues to reshape, the industry? And what do you think the CFO Lee Kyung-joon will say while he testifies in court on September 11th? Let me know your thoughts by writing comments, but when you do so, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy as always. Thank you guys. Peace and love. Bye-bye.